right, so I'm the official tour guide today here at Manhattan. We're actually in the South Bronx, also Washington Heights, and we are at the Morris Jumel Mansion, which was created in 1765. It is the oldest house still remaining in Manhattan. And oh, by the way, it was General George Washington's house that he used as a battle headquarters in 1765 at the outbreak of the American Revolutionary War. So come on, let's go see. This is gorgeous. This is beautiful. Yeah, ring the doorbell. May I come in?
Wait, is it guided?
Yep.
So Roger Morris was from England. He came to North America to fight in the French and Indian War, and he stayed. And then his wife Mary here was part of a very old New York family. She was about third generation, and her family made their money in the slave trade and also just being merchants in general. So they only used this house up until the start of the Revolutionary War, so only about 10 years. They left their two properties in Manhattan when the American Revolutionary War broke out. So they lived in downtown Manhattan throughout the rest of the year. This was their summer residence, but when the war began, they wanted to get away. It wasn't particularly safe for loyalists, which they were. And also Roger Morris wasn't very interested in getting involved in another war. So he left to England for a couple years before getting roped into the war in an administrative role. And then Mary and the children stayed behind so they were separated for a couple of years while Roger went to England. And then Mary here, she stayed behind in New York with the children, and then as the fighting was getting closer and closer to Manhattan, she and the children went to her family's estate up in Yonkers. So...
Was he a Tory?
Both of them were, yes.
They both were?
Yeah. So they essentially were not in support of what was happening. Yeah. So the property was more or less empty. They left very abruptly. It's likely that they perhaps left an enslaved person here because a few months later, George Washington came here and used this house as his headquarters for 5 weeks in the fall of 1776. When he arrived, there was an enslaved woman here, and she was essentially looking over the property. We don't know how long she was here for, if she had just come for a moment to check out the house or what. But we know that George Washington and his army were not having very good luck up until this point. Things weren't going in their favor, but while George Washington and the Continental Army were here, they won the Battle of Harlem Heights nearby. That was the very first time that the British had retreated from the Continental Army, and that was a good boost in morale. So some historians will say it wasn't a full victory, but it was a good turn of events for them in any case. So after 5 weeks, George Washington and his army move on, and a few months later, the British take over Manhattan and this house. So we are one of the few sites that can say that we housed both sides of the Revolutionary conflict, because the British then used this as their headquarters for the remainder of the war. So after the war ended, the house was a tavern for a very brief period of time. So I don't know if you came here in this direction, but St. Nicholas Avenue used to be part of a main road that went through Manhattan. So that is how people got in and out of the main downtown area. So people could have easily stopped here, had a quick bite, drink before moving on with their journey. After the tavern period, the house went through a few different hands. But the next family to use this house as a residence were the Jumels. So if you look right over there on top of that cabinet, that is Eliza Jumel. She was the house's longest resident. So she lived here for a grand total of about 50 years.
Wow.
So she and her husband, Stephen, purchased this property in 1810. Stephen was a wealthy French wine merchant, and Eliza was born into poverty in Rhode Island. So we don't know too much about her life, but we know that she had a pretty rough start to her childhood. Her family was very, very poor. It's likely that her mother ran a brothel. Her mother was also arrested at some point because of her line of work. So she had a pretty difficult childhood, and she was also orphaned as well eventually. But we do know that in adulthood she moved to New York City. She became an actress. She sort of reinvents herself, and that's when she meets Stephen. And again, he's very wealthy, and so through their marriage, her life is completely changed. What's unusual about their marriage is that Stephen gave Eliza power of attorney. In the 19th century, women only had power over their estate once the husband died. So it was pretty out of the ordinary that Stephen granted that to her. But we do know that she was a very savvy businesswoman, and she invested in real estate all throughout New York City, and she actually wound up saving their fortune when Stephen's business began to falter. So Stephen unexpectedly passed away in 1832. 14 months later, Eliza remarries former Vice President Aaron Burr in this house.
Oh, wow.
So they were married in the room that you passed to your left-hand side when you walk through the front door. This was the second marriage for both of them. Eliza was in her 50s at that point, and Aaron Burr was in his 70s.
Wow.
So he figured that their marriage was probably one of convenience. Whatever the case might be, it was a very, very short-lived marriage. She filed for divorce within their first year of getting married because he was very reckless with her money. And
Atta girl.
you have to understand where she was coming from, having sort of had to fight her way to reaching that status, you know. So she made the decision to end the marriage. So the marriage proceedings lasted the divorce proceedings lasted about 3 or so years, but Aaron Burr coincidentally died on the very same day they were supposed to sign the paperwork.
Oh.
So their marriage,
Oh, good for you.
Good for her.
marriage was ended by his death and not their divorce. And so Eliza was then able to say for the rest of her life that she was the widow of the former Vice President of the United States.
Good for
and
her.
not a divorcee.
I like her.
Yes, she was
Aaron Burr.
quite the character. We
Hamilton.
love her here.
Yeah.
We're big fans of Eliza Jumel here. So
Awesome.
Eliza never remarries. She passes away in this house at the age of 90 in the year 1865. And when she died, she was one of America's richest women. So that's essentially the history of the house in a nutshell. There is a lot more to explore. So at this point, you are free to walk throughout the house. The house is 3 floors. This floor, 1 floor upstairs, and 1 floor downstairs. Restrooms are on this floor and in the basement. You are allowed to take photos. We just ask that you don't use flash photography.
Got it.
All of the rooms have text in them, but you're also welcome to scan that QR code right behind you for a free digital guide that includes an audio tour, actually multiple audio tours, and additional information about the house.
Really?
Yeah, just
Like
When we came in here, this little girl goes, "This looks like a haunted house."
I
Well,
feel like it's always the young people who can clock that right away. Whenever we have school groups come in, that's generally the first thing that the school children will
she
ask.
literally stopped and went,
Yes, that happens. That happens.
Bunch of these that were left in the attic after, this is a piece of the American Revolution.
Wow.
They are from the American Revolution. So you can like,
musket ball?
yeah, but you have, if you're gonna hold it, it's so heavy. You
Yes.
have to, no, it's a cannonball.
It's a
Cannonball.
And we have bigger ones up.
I feel it.
You can feel it.
Oh, it's,
You're not holding it. It's
it's all
heavy.
lead, isn't it?
Yeah, Yeah, I guess. Oh, we let school groups
Yeah, it's
pass
heavy.
this around, but I'm like, please do not drop it
Yeah.
to like touch a piece of the American Revolution.
I want to hold.
And it's probably from the
I have
English.
relatives
You
that
know,
were
work
in
on
the
it.
Revolutionary War.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
From where? I mean, like, do you know where they were fighting?
Well, they-
or-
Connecticut,
Like, they were
Ellsworth.
from Ellsworth from Connecticut. Oliver Ellsworth was helping with the Constitution.
Yeah, yeah.
But before then, it was Charles Ellsworth that was
Isn't that
in
cool?
the Revolutionary War.
It's probably an
His
English.
relatives, which are
That's probably an English cannonball against the American rebels. Probably.
It's lighter than I thought it was.
You got, oh, really?
Yeah.
Like waiting to like.
Yeah, I was waiting for it to go.
Oh my.
This is actually furniture from the family.
This is furniture from the family, yeah.
This carpet wasn't there. I can't.
Yeah, go ahead. That's old Aaron Burr here.
Is it?
Yeah. It's the guy who shot Hamilton.
Dad.
Dead.
What?
Great. That's soft.
This-
This was probably over a table.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah.
This was probably the dining room.
Yes.
This is the French parlor. We're in the French parlor, so when they vacationed in France in 1810, they brought all this stuff back. Wow.
Even that.
Look at that long, what do they call that, harpsichord? That piano.
He's a little bit chubby.
Who's that?
Oh, that's for them.
Mrs. Jomel and her kids. Oh, wow. How beautiful this house is. This is amazing.
Probably a nursery.
Wow. Wow. This is Washington's room. Look at that.
It's got a small room.
Where he did his
This is
planning.
George Washington's war room. Right there, read it.
The Morris family would have used this room as an upper parlor, which was a more casual space in the former parlor house.
This is George Washington's war room where he plotted against the English. All right, so what I've just learned is that the room that I'm in is George Washington's war room in 1776, and it's strategic because it's up on top of a hill, so you could see troop movements below from the English. And we're right here. There's a battle for Harlem Heights, which was a turning point in the war, because at the time the rebels weren't winning; they were losing to all the English. And what's really cool about this room is it's still the 1770s design in here. I'm here with Emily. Get in here, Emily. This is George Washington's war room, his office. I love the creaky floors.
I know. right there.
Oh, you did find it. An Aaron Burr's bedchamber, nonetheless.
It's gonna break any second.
was a place where General Washington made his headquarters. I was there 30 years ago. And
The J says somebody's in this bed.
It's cool in here.
This is Aaron Burr's bedchamber,
Where he mysteriously died, maybe?
where he mysteriously died.
The day
This is the room
before
that
sign.
Lin-Manuel Miranda spent time in this room composing songs for the hit musical Hamilton.
but I still mentioned that to her on the next fact.
The room where it happened is where he wrote the ballad here. So this is where Aaron Burr got married to Eliza.
the Hamilton family so much.
Yeah, and Aaron Burr's Eliza Jumel hired Alexander Hamilton's Jr. as the lead attorney to divorce from Burr, and he died. He died the day the divorce was supposed to finalize of a heart attack.
No wonder
probably.
Burr hated Hamilton so much.
Exactly. This is Eliza Jumel's bedchamber. So the other one was where Aaron Burr stayed, and this is hers. She had her own private bathroom over there. It looks like. She had her own private bathroom here? Yeah. This must have been her private bathroom. No wallpaper. Wow. Wow.
Still alive.
Wow.
This is 1790.
1790 wallpaper. Wallpaper from 1790. We're going down there.
It's creepy and haunted.
Okay.
All you guys are gonna be shaking in your booties.
All right, we're going downstairs. Oh, wow. Wow. Cool. Wow, this is really cool.
Okay, come here.
Yeah. Oh, that's new. That's not old. Here, you're a picture of me.
It's like a witch. It's a witch's.
Oh, because of the broomstick.
Dad,
What does this show?
exposed beam. Cover this original beam.
It's a wood beam. Wow, puppy. Lots of history at the Jumel house. She was a famous actress, and prior to the Jumel house, it was owned by a English loyalist. What was their names again? They owned this house,
They're
and this
the
was
Morrises.
the Morrises, and they came from England, and they were loyalists. They weren't into this rebel shit from George Washington and the boys. Look at these houses. Original brick streets.
said there's a lot of these in.
These are old school. To get the fire, you just press the button.
Now we have like
To the police.
before like when we don't used to have like phone.
Doesn't say what year though. I'm surprised. This is a tourist season.
Hamilton's home. Alexander Hamilton built this home in Harlem. We are in Harlem. He attended school at King's College, it's now Columbia. He fought the British at Fort George. He lived and worked in a series of townhomes and offices downtown. He took the carriage. It was an hour and a half ride from this house down to Lower Manhattan. He's buried in the cemetery at Trinity
He
Church.
served his nation.
What do you think, Grandma? Are you having fun?
Yes,
Revolutionary War.
yes.
Ooh, I found a J.
Oh, is she for sale?
She better not be.
Philip. I see the picture of the guy.
We couldn't get a tour because we were a little bit late, but we got books. Check out Em. Emmer's got some books.
There are more. You have more. I like
I got.
that too. Don't make it look like I robbed the place.
You didn't rob the place. I robbed the place. We're in Harlem right now at Alexander Hamilton's house. How gorgeous this house is. Too bad we didn't get to see it. It's a little late for the tour. It's a mansion though. Look at these rocks. This rock was here when Alexander Hamilton was here.
That's the volcano lava flow. That's really old. Sorry.
Yes. Grandma Carol says, I can't help it. I know everything.
This is old lava. It's called, actually, they call it basalt. It's basalt rock right there.
Grandma Carol, I can't help it. I know everything.
I can't help it. I was a teacher, and
For 1 year.
but I took
One glorious year.
all of these prep courses. What? Because it's
You know, during the Ice Age, the
Yeah, I actually think Grandma's right on this one.
right.
Why do you give me that look?
I didn't do anything.
Let's watch the tape. They're worried about me.
That's a black a black squirrel. It's a black squirrel.
Grandma, I believe you about the volcano.
I know it's one of the oldest rocks that you're going to see.
I believe you.
It's so true.
Volcano. Grandma found a volcano, some basalt. What do you think of Hamilton's house from the outside? It looks pretty good.
I think it's a cool.
And this was all countryside.
Yes.
This is the New York volcano my mother found, and she said, I can't help it, I'm so smart. I was a teacher, but you were a teacher for less than a year. That's the thing. Like that.
For a whole year.
For a whole year, she was a teacher.
And a substitute many years later.
Alexander Hamilton's house. Got to visit, buy some of his books. We didn't really go through the house that much, but it's all good.
Well, I intended
It was his Garden of Eden, so it says.
I was going to teach for 3 years.
Chicago.
No, Harlem. Harlem is the major city in what country? Holland. And why was it called Harlem that we're in right now? Because this part of the country was founded by whom?
The Hollish.
The Dutch.
The Hollish people.
The Dutch.
I know.
Grandma just said, I thought Harlem was in Chicago. No, it's right
Oh, I
here.
did.
Well, you learned something new today. It even says Amsterdam Avenue. Did you see that?
Yeah. Some of them might be.
You could bury, if you're related to this person, you could be buried here.
Who is the person?
General Ulysses S. Grant.
I am related to him, of course.
My God.
I don't know who that is.
It's one of your relatives. Who was buried in Grant's tomb?
This is his tomb.
Grant's he's gonna need somebody.
General Ulysses S. Grant's tomb. I do too. So this is 1895, but a replica of 1860.
1864.
1867.
1897.
It's tomb, isn't it?
That's what I said.
Yeah?
I said this was very Napoleon.
This is like Napoleon's tomb.
Where?
We were just there in Paris. Wow, this is beautiful. My girl.
Sergeant Josiah Ellsworth. So it's actually.
This room.
Well, her sister had ordered that she
I just told the girls that I saw the first mausoleum we did, and then I realized they were shopping in Bodrum, Turkey. Well, I saw King Mausolus Mausoleum. This is the largest mausoleum in North America.
Are my hands cold?
Yes. Grandma likes this treatment. She's gonna hold you if you fall.
Well, you know, my grandma passed away at 83, so that's probably how long I lived.
That's an extra, what, 9 months? If you're...
Chris says, yeah,
Me and Jess, where are we?
I don't know, I was sleeping.
We were in Francis's Tavern.
Oh, okay.
This is where...
Who's Francis?
I don't know who he is. We're going to have to learn, but this is one of George Washington's favorite places to eat. See?
Yes. This was his
she's a kid. Okay, I didn't know that there was a bombing at this place back in not 1776, but 1975. There was a bombing here. Why would anyone want to bomb a tavern that George Washington made famous? Eva, ask us what tavern we're in.
What tavern are you in?
We are in Francis's Tavern, which is where George Washington used to hang out before the Revolutionary War. Did you say the Redcoats are coming? What? The Redcoats are coming? Livy said the only reason why George Washington used to come here is because they had
You even know that. How do you know?
You just told me. You just told me.
No, you didn't look at those. Yeah, I did.
All right, we are eating in the dining room of Francis's Tavern, which was used as a early Sons of Liberty. So all of the New Yorkers that were disgusted with the British and the Loyalists got together to discuss war and discuss battles. And this is it. We're right in the dining room where they'd all have their drinks. In the room where it happened. 1776, baby. That's me. Thank you. George Washington ate this burger. George Washington ate this burger. Would you agree? Everyone's jamming, having fun. Then we look over here.
Okay.
The long room.
Oh my.
Wow. Wow.
Wow, this is what I remember.
What do you mean? You've never been here.
She existed back
You existed back then? You just said, I
I
remember.
know because I watched it on.
So this is the long room where George Washington had dinner with his troops, and he announced that he was no longer going to be in service. He wanted to retire. George Washington sat there and addressed the crew. The cards.
At the captain's table.
I see his butt with butt.
Olivia said she sees George Washington's butt mark.
Yeah.
His gyat? She just said she saw his gyat. Silk Roads, the trade begins with China in 1784, headed for Guangzhou. I was near that just last 2 weeks
Really?
ago. Yeah. Trade with China begins. John Jay governed the new nation from this tavern.
Secretary of State.
It's George Washington. It's the man, the myth, the legend.
And I still have my phone.
Site of the Birch Trials. I don't know what the Birch Trials are, but I'll learn about it. I don't know anything about the Birch Trials. I'm gonna have to learn about it. Wow. This is the private dining room. These windows were not looking out at buildings. They were looking at the harbor, Battery Park. Alexander Hamilton. This lady slipper belonged to Martha Washington from 1731 to 1802. This is Martha Washington's shoe. Oh, cool, a bayonet. Wow, a bayonet, a real bayonet. From 1754. Pearl Street. And this is where we are right here. This is what the buildings used to look like. We're right here. Look at that, Liv.
We got the pump the stuff to make it tough. From the heart, it's a start, a work of art to revolutionize, make a change, something strange. People, we are the same, no, we're not the same, cause we don't know the game. What we need is awareness, we can't get careless. You say, what is this? Our beloved, let's get down to business, mental self-defense of fitness. Don't rush the show, you got to go for what you know, to make everybody see, in order to fight the powers that be.
That is Lafayette from France. Benjamin is Lafayette, Captain Lafayette from France. Look at these guns.
They don't look very good. They look like a cap gun.
On November 25th, 1783, when the British troops left and sailed out of the New York harbor for the last time, actually it wasn't president yet, General George Washington and the New York governor, George Clinton, not Bill Clinton, George Clinton, and his officers did a final act of deviance. They took a British flag and they left it nailed to a flagpole in Bowling Green, which we're going to be going to next. And then they gave 13 toasts with their alcohol. The first toast was to the United States of America, the new country. The second toast was to King Louis XVI of France. The third was to the Netherlands. The fourth was the King of Sweden. The fifth was the American Army. The sixth was the armies of France, which served in America. The memory of those heroes who were fallen was the seventh toast. The eighth was may our country be grateful to her military children. The ninth was, may justice support what courage has gained. The 10th toast was to the vindicators of the rights of mankind in every quarter of the globe. The 11th toast was, may America be an asylum to the persecuted of the earth. The 12th was, may a close union of the states guard the temple that have erected to liberty. And the last was, the 13th toast was, may the remembrance of this day be a lesson to all princes. Oh.
And by that time, they were drunk. So.
It's just one big testament to General George Washington.
Don't worry about me. I'm going to be down by where it's disgusting in there.
George Washington walked up these stairs, Emily. How cool is that? Very cool. Happy. You know, just walking out the doors. George Washington walked in. You know, pretty cool. So I'm just walking outside Francis's Tavern. This was the original part of New York and the original part of America in its founding. So cool to be here, and I'm glad to see Emily's pretty pumped too. And there's my girl. Right on cue. Missed all that. So we're at Bowling Green, which is one of the original parks from the 1760s, I believe. And this is where in the history books they show the Americans, the pre-American rebels, tearing down the statue of King George III, which was over here. And what I'm trying to tell my kids is that this is the original, I know you're cold, this is the original fences that were brought up because of the protesting that was happening from the independent rebels that didn't want to be part of England anymore as a colony.
How's the back look?
You look good.
Go back.
You all look good. You all look good. I almost tripped on the oldest English fence here in our country. Here in Bowling Green.
Yeah.
Emily, do you remember?
First public park to be established in New York City, March 12th, 1733. And this is where the statue of King George III was before everyone pulled it down because we weren't rolling like that anymore. We didn't want George III. We were done with George III.
Erected by the Common Council of 1771, this fence surrounds the earliest part. The park was
I know, it's right in front of us. They're in front of the bull market. Yeah. All right. Got it.